In 1961, President Kennedy declared,
"I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the earth."
Like, wow. At the time, we did not have the rockets, navigation, or life support systems for a moon trip, and most people from our grandparents' generation thought the idea was crazy. 7 years later, we had built and tested the technology ahead of schedule. We had a clear, ambitious goal and a deadline, and we rose to the occasion. If you think about it, we can do that again with the climate, and we have to. Carbon dioxide levels are currently at 400 parts per million and expected to hit 430 ppm by 2045. That's over 280 ppm more than 100 years ago. Our goal is to reduce that back down to the safe level of 350 ppm, which we haven't seen since 1988. To keep carbon dioxide levels from growing, we need to shift our energy from fossil fuels to renewables before 2045. Restoring the climate requires switching to carbon-free energy by 2030 to 2050. The shift to renewables would be accomplished mainly by using wind and solar power. There are other renewable options, such as biofuels and nuclear energy, but only wind and solar are ready to get big now at the low costs we need. The market will decide which alternative sources may become cheaper and better over time. Wind generation provides 3% of our country's electricity now and has been growing at over 25% per year for the last 6 years. If we maintain that growth rate, it will provide 50% in 2025. This would be something like 2,000 modern 5-megawatt wind turbines per state. Solar generation provides 1% of our electricity now and is growing at over 50% per year. At that pace, it can produce the other 50% of our electricity by 2025. China is already building solar panels 10 times as quickly as us, so it is definitely possible to catch up to them and even surpass their production. But we'll also need to develop other missing links, such as batteries, smart grids, and the industries to build them all in 20 years. Switching to renewables may reduce the number of fossil fuel jobs, but it will create even more jobs in the new renewable industries. It will also stabilize energy prices because the sun and wind are free and the technology costs are steadily decreasing. So, here's where you and I come in. How can we approach our elected officials about what's needed? You want to ask your representatives in Washington to support 2 policies. First, we can support a gradually increasing carbon disposal fee, also called a carbon tax, as recommended by almost all economists. This means that when companies add CO2 to the air, they pay a fee to make up for their pollution. This may temporarily increase the cost of energy, so 100% of the money generated will be returned to American families and companies. Second, create policies that promote smart investments. Did you know that fossil fuels receive 6 times more subsidies than renewables and attract twice as much investment? That has to change. By eliminating government subsidies for fossil fuels and switching them to support renewables instead, we can show investors that we're committed to a healthy climate. We can do this. There's room for everyone to contribute to this important change. Tell your elected officials about the legacy you want to leave. A healthy climate by 2070.